Hello everyone, it's Hilda. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to present you my choices for the Tarot Academy Awards. And even though this is effectively a VR to myself, because 2 years ago I was the one that created the tag, I feel that there has been with time so many VRs and so many other tarot tubers that took up on the challenge of coming up with winners, that it has become a little bit of an appointment. And even though I have to be honest 100%, this year I don't feel as excited about the actual Academy Awards or the movies Academy Awards as I have in the past. I think that my peak was a couple of years ago when I actually created the tag, because there were some of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, Whale or The Whale, I don't remember whether it was the Whale or Whale, with Brendan Fraser, was absolutely stunning. I just literally loved that movie. But also the winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it is to this day, after 2 years, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love the way they built the movie. I love the way in which they move from one world to the next. I love the concept around that, but I do love all of these things. But my favorite thing about that movie was the way in which it was portraying the mother-daughter relationship and the wife-husband relationship. And first of all, I am a huge fan of Michelle Yeoh. I think that she's absolutely amazing. And I love the way that she's portraying this everyday role of a woman that is really struggling to make ends meet. At the same time, she has a father to take care of, and also a bit of a struggling relationship with her husband, and a very tight relationship, a very difficult, let's say, relationship with her daughter. And I think that it was nothing short of a miracle the way in which the movie expressed all that. And that really gave me the idea of creating this tag. As I said, this year, when it comes to the movies, I do keep on watching movies all the time. I mean, my husband and I go to the movies almost every weekend. We just really love it. We just love the atmosphere. I also have to say that when you start collecting like cards, loyalty cards with movies in Australia, you also have a lot of discounts, which makes it easier to go to the movies. But at the same time, you really feel like there might be some kind of a change when it comes to which movies are considered to be candidates for the Academy Awards. And I'm very excited to see what will happen with Substance. But at the same time, I'm also not as excited as I was. Does that mean that I'm not excited about this tag? No, not at all. I'm actually very excited about this tag as well, because this is all about tarot decks. And I just talk about the categories because I think that it's an easier way to get for us as tarot tubers to, let's say, focus on a few details that make a deck worthy of an award. So if you're not familiar with it, there's 10 categories and I explain all of them, and I explain the reason why when I present a deck, which is the winner, I also explain the reason why I think that deck has been an excellent candidate, so much so that they actually win the award. So let's start. I've got my categories here in front of me, so let me just turn a page and start from the beginning, because that's where we want to start. So the best category is Best Screenplay, a deck with a great guidebook that stands out in a sea of boring little white books. Now this is a bit of a difficult one for me, because I only just recently, I believe last week, posted a video that was by popular demand in which I show what I believe are the 10 best guidebooks that come with decks. And originally I thought to myself, what would be the decks that I would one day might consider rehoming, but but maybe not. I mean, there are some decks that are presented in that video that will never be rehomed because I absolutely adore them. But let's say these are the decks that come with such an amazing guidebook that I believe that the guidebook is just as worthy of the deck, and in some cases it might be even more worthy of an award than the deck. And the winner for this category is the Weaver's Oracle. This is an amazing deck. The Weaver's Oracle by Caroline Hillier. This is still available, by the way, but it is an indie Oracle deck. And I believe you only have one website where you can purchase it from, and it's based in the UK. I do know though that there's a lot of people that actually rehome this deck, so you can find it, perhaps not as frequently as you would love to, but you can still find it in some of the the various groups, whether it's Facebook groups or eBay or Etsy. Please always be careful and make sure that the listing is for a genuine deck, because we don't want to destroy the industry. So let me just zoom in, and first I will show you the cards, and then we'll just have a look at the book, because in this case I'm really interested in showing you the book. The cards are amazing though. I mean, look at this artwork. I love the expression on the faces of these characters. I also love the way in which the art style has been created, because there's a lot of work that goes into the details. For example, you can see it here on the hair, on the strands of hair of this character, but at the same time I also love that the background is completely black, because it really makes the images stand out. And I use this deck, it is an Oracle deck. However, the reason why I use this deck is not necessarily because I may want to pair it up with a tarot deck, for example, or for divination or for personal practice, or for many other reasons. The one main reason why I am very bonded and very attached to this deck is because of the guidebook. And let's just have a look at the guidebook, because it is amazing, and this is the reason why this deck has actually won this award. And as I was saying, it was a difficult choice, because a week ago I was showing the guidebooks that I think are exceptional, and so I didn't want to show you one of the guidebooks that was in the video, and admittedly this one was a close honorable mention. I did not do any honorable mention for that video. This would have been one of them. But when I look at everything that you can actually do with this book, because it's also an exercise book, if you allow me to call it this way, then this one definitely wins the award. And it's also shaped like some kind of an exercise book. Let me just zoom out slightly so we can see better, because it does have that form of a notebook with the spiral on the side. And it gives you not just a lot of information like you can see here, but also, let's say, it really puts you in the right set of mind to learn something new. And that is not something that we can say for, for every guidebook. When I talk about the boring sea of little white books, is because not all of them will be boring. As a matter of fact, some of them I quite like. I mean, I do appreciate, for example, Scarabeo, that always try to give a bit of a novelty side to the guidebooks. But when it comes to something that you really cherish, that you really like using, when it comes to a guidebook that makes you want to use the deck even more than what you actually do, and it also is very significant, I believe, that I've chosen an Oracle deck rather than a tarot deck, because when it comes to a tarot deck, it's somehow easier to come out with an excellent guidebook. I don't know if it makes sense, but I think that when it comes to Oracle decks, it is very, you have almost as if the author had carte blanche, so they have a complete white and clean slate in which they need to write something, because they cannot simply stem from the meaning of the card, of these symbols on the card, like you could possibly do with the tarot deck. And when it comes to an oracle deck, you really have to woo the reader. You really have to entice us. You really have to make us want to use the guidebook. And you will see that when the oracle deck, especially the ones that come with keywords at the bottom of the card, when you use them, or let me rephrase that, when I use them, I feel like I don't always need to go and have a look at the guidebook, and so it takes a bit more for me to be interested in the guidebook. Having said that, this is fantastic. So for each and every one of the weavers, because these are weavers, you got not just the titles, and then it explains to you the sort of category in which you can visualize this specific weaver. So the vessel number 45 is the shaman weaver of oceans. And she weaves the grandmother of drums. So we're talking about the loom clan and the West Weaver. You can see all of these details here, obviously. And then her yarn, and then basically it talks about the story behind it. It explains a lot of what goes into the choice of the creator to depict this particular person in weaver in this particular way. Then it talks about her braid, so it talks basically about the instrument that she uses, and then her cloth. So we talk about symbology, we talk about meaning, we talk about intuition, we talk about correspondences, which are very important. And it just goes on like that, but you will see that this is an incredibly helpful guidebook to not just approach the oracle deck itself, but also to give you the possibility to enjoy it even more, and to really do a deep dive, if you so wish, into the additional meanings of the cards. So this is definitely my, not just a pick, but I would say a very happy winner, a very happy award. I am very happy that I decided to award this deck with this prize, because it really deserves it. Now let's move on to the second category. Is it category or category? I never know. I know that there might be a different pronunciation whether you're from the UK or the US, but please bear with me, because what will happen, because I know myself, I will jump from one pronunciation to the other throughout the whole video. So be it. So the second one is Best Special Effects, a deck that is visually out of this world. And I had to go, let me just phrase it in the correct way, and the winner is, ta-da, the Westwood Tarot by Yasmin Westwood. This is a relatively recent kind of deck. I think it was published probably at the end of last year. This is not, and I have to be blunt with you guys, this is not my kind of deck. This should not have been a deck I fell in love with. This should not have been in my tarot card, let's say, or wish list to begin with. Why? Because if you know me, if you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you will remember that my tastes are slightly different than this one. And yet, oh my goodness, I love this deck so much. And actually it does have a very interesting guidebook as well. Just for you to see, it is very interesting. So it shows you the card, it gives you a bit of a possibility to enter into the atmosphere, which is very magical, of these cards. And if you remember the video in which I was doing the unboxing, I think I made a few people chuckle, because for each and every card I was like, oh look, it looks like this character is wearing the glasses or the sunglasses with a little bit of a steampunk kind of energy, or you know, that kind of vibes. And then I kept on seeing that, and I kept on saying the same thing. Oh yeah, this snail is wearing what looks like a steampunk kind of glasses. And you know, at a certain point within myself I was like, hang on a second, is this a theme? Because it could be very well a theme. And this is indeed, these are all animals that are magical in and of themselves, but they're also magical because they are wearing these kind of steampunk attire. So really loving this. and the vibes that it comes with. So yes, I did have to complain a little bit, but you know me, about the cardboard that was broken, the inside sleeve that came broken. I have since spoken to a few of you who confirmed to me that your version, your deck came damaged as well, which is a bit of a pity. I actually usually store this deck in one of the tarot bag ladies' tarot bags. But today I just wanted to show you the box, because I just thought that it was interesting to see the box. And let me just zoom back in a little bit just to see the cards a bit properly. This is really out of this world. I love this deck so much for all of the reasons that I've explained earlier. I mean, these are animals, as you can see. You can see clearly here. This is the hat, the stovepipe hat. Is that called that way, stovepipe hat? And the steampunk glasses. And there is this kind of vibe here that is very quirky. And this is, to me, Harry Potter. There's no two ways around that. And you cannot convince me otherwise. This is Harry Potter to me. I love all of these animals. There's more than a few Australian animals. This is for example, a rainbow lorikeet. They are very colorful. You can see them in Sydney pretty much everywhere, even in the CBD, in the city. I love the way in which Yasmin has chosen these animals to represent the card that they represent. I was gushing over this unicorn that has a hat like this, which I really love, and I find that really lovely that it's the star card. And we got mushroom as well, and we got a orangutan, which is you know, to me this has become very dear, very close to my heart, because last year we have been to Borneo and we have seen orangutans in the wild, which was absolutely amazing as an experience. I highly recommend Borneo. It is very affordable. The only problem is that depending on where you live, flying there could be expensive. Of course, you have to fly into Kuala Lumpur first, and then there's regional flights into Borneo. Borneo, however, even though it is part of Malaysia, has an independent kind of statute. So you have to go through custom again. So if you fly from Kuala Lumpur into Kuching or Kota Kinabalu, you still have to go through customs, but you don't have to repeat the visa. I don't know why I'm going to give you all of this information. It's just that I really want people to go to Borneo because it's absolutely fantastic, and you will see all of these animals. If you're lucky, you see them in the wild. But getting back to this deck, this is really the special effect winner, because look at the care that Yasmin put in all of the details, and I love the fact that it's very magical as a deck. And I actually love the backs as well. I mean, these colors, it's just these mix of forest green and teal and lighter and darker blue, just really my favorite colors of all times. So this is the winner for the category special effects, and again, so very happy about this deck. There's been a time, perhaps towards the end of last year, that apart from a couple of decks, I wasn't very lucky when buying a new deck. I felt like I was on a downward streak, in the sense that yeah, I liked them, but I wasn't crazy about them. But then this year, I think I started with one deck that is actually a winner in another category, so I'm not going to tell you which one it is until I get to the category. But until I got that deck, which was a Kickstarter campaign reward, I felt like I was on a downward streak, and then it picked it back up with that deck. My luck turned completely, and I absolutely love all of the decks that I bought so far. And also, I am very grateful. I received so many presents for my birthday. Thank you so much, everyone. I really needed a fun birthday because I still miss my Missy. She passed away on the 17th of January, and I know that it's been over a month, but I still miss her so much, and I still cry for her. So I really needed to feel happy, and also you know, to feel the lightness of being, if I may quote one of my favorite books. I needed to feel that kind of lightness of being, and not always being distracted by how heavy things are in life and everything. And so that I achieved that. It was a fantastic birthday. Also, thanks to my husband, it really organized a fantastic day. Then the next category is Best Custom Design, a deck that shows outstanding attention to details. I had no doubt for this deck about awarding this deck for this price, and the winner is Dis-moi que tu m'aimes. So this is a French oracle deck that the title translates as Tell Me You Love Me. This is by Voglio Bene and Sandy Tattoo 2.0. This is an amazing deck. It's really beautiful, and you will see why I really had no doubt in awarding this deck for the best custom design. And the good news is that even if you don't speak French, this deck is actually coming out mass market in English by Rockpool in probably a couple of months. I want to say a couple of months. It could be sooner, it could be later. I don't know. I should have checked. My bad. Sorry. But I do have the French version here. And let me just show you the cards. I mean, how beautiful are these? Everything about them. This feels like really vintage on the one hand, but modern on the other because of the tattoo that you see on the characters here. So you can tell by recognizing some of these cards that this is curated art, and it's very Caravaggio-esque. Is that even a word? So you know the painter, the Italian painter Caravaggio, he was very famous for using chiaroscuro, so the play of light and the absence of light and the one source of light coming in from outside the frame and hitting a specific object. That is something that we use in photography as well, a lot. Really beautiful effects, and this looks very much like it's been done this way. I really love it. I think that it's not just a lovely deck because of the images, which by themselves are really fantastic and out of this world. As you can see, if I tilt the cards this way, you will notice that there's also gold foil on the cards. I don't think that that's going to be the case for the Oracle deck. I'm sorry about that. I did have a preview of a couple of cards, and it doesn't look like it's gonna have the gold foil, which is a pity because I strongly believe that it's actually contributing to the beauty of the cards. It makes them feel very busy, I will tell you that. It makes them feel very busy. So I don't know if you're someone who doesn't like to be overwhelmed by details, perhaps the English version by Rockpool of this deck would be easier to enjoy rather than this French version, which by the way, yes, it is French, but it's also mass market, so it's not like it cost. It doesn't have the price tag of an indie deck. I believe I paid 26 euros for it. It is available on Amazon France, but obviously depending on where you are, you have to pay shipping. I love this card so much. And let me tell you, the keywords are always spot on, really, really well selected. Loving them, and they're not, I would say, they're not too difficult even if you don't speak French. And I mean, these are the backs. Of course I love them. They're so beautiful. They're amazing. So this one is by far, when I was looking at other decks, you know, I was thinking, oh, maybe this one, maybe that one. But this is by far a deck that I have absolutely no problems in awarding with this category, because it really feels, so whenever I think about special effects, it really feels like the creators have done a fantastic job in this deck. And let's move on to probably my favorite category, because being a photographer, having worked in photographic documentary here in Australia, that was basically a TV show on photography. I absolutely love this category, so it's best photography. As you could imagine, a deck that has achieved an outstanding result in capturing the images, and that is not always easy, because let me tell you, there's so many collage decks lately that it feels like I wanted to take them in consideration for this, but at the end of the day I had to go with this deck. So the winner is the Compos Mentis Tarot. This is a Kickstarter award by Una in Space. That is the name of the company, but the name of the author is Olina Ast. I think that it's read this way. If not, please let me know in the comments below. it was a Kickstarter campaign from a few months ago, and I did receive it at the beginning of the year, I believe, or maybe at the end of January, something more like that. I love this deck so much. I started looking at the cards, and because it is in black and white, to me, it needs to be well done. Because black and white is something that I've been working with ever since I picked up a camera. I was 9 years old. It was a gift from my dad. We were in the Mont Blanc, sorry, the Monte Bianco. You know, I actually forgot the way in which you call it in Italian, but it is the highest peak in the Alps, so in Europe. And it is shared between France and Italy. So I was in Val d'Ote, Val d'Aosta, and we took the, I don't know what it's called, it is a cabin that takes you up on a mountain, like an automated one. So we took that and we went to as far up as we could. Obviously we couldn't reach the top because it doesn't go that far up. And my dad gave me my first camera and I started taking photos, and I haven't stopped ever since. So it's been a while, ever since I was 9 years old. And black and white was the beginning because I was just buying rolls of films in black and white. As a matter of fact, I felt like the Fuji one, XP400, I think it was called, was my favorite. It's either HP400 or XP400, I actually forgot. I haven't used a roll or let's say an analog camera in a long time, but I still do love my black and white. And as a consequence of that, it is rather difficult for me to be enamored of a deck that is in black and white, but I believe that this is a fantastic deck. It has been executed in a fantastic way. Everything about it is perfect. The light is fantastic. It really gives you the idea that you are part of the scenery, you are within the frame, you are participating in whatever it is that the card is showing you. And even though I have to say that it is true that a couple of these cards do remind me of the Somnia Tarot, which is also a photographic deck. And by the way, I cannot wait for the new Kickstarter by Nicolas Bruno. So it's basically the Somnia Oracle and a revision of the Somnia Tarot. I backed both. I cannot wait. So even though a couple of cards, specifically this one, I would say, do remind me of that deck, I think that this deck, I don't mean to say that it was done as into copying that. I think that when it comes to photography, it is very difficult, very, very difficult not to take the same shot or the same kind of shot. Especially when you travel, when it comes to travel photography and you take a photo of a monument, it's the one you're looking at, and more often than not, you will have the same people standing probably next to you, elbow to elbow, taking the same shot. So it is very difficult to be original when it comes to photography. The way in which this tarot deck has been made is simply nothing short of a miracle. I really, really love it. I love every single one of these cards. It is a little bit dark or darker than I would have loved, but then again, I also feel like that communicates something, you know. It was the intention of the creator, of the photographer, let's say, to choose these darker colors, and so I respect the choice. I absolutely have nothing to say other than kudos, well done, love it, absolutely amazing. And now let me just turn the page again because we're moving on to the next category, and we're just gonna see it here. So okay, so the next two categories are about best actor, non-gender specific, in a leading role, and then we'll see best actor non-gender specific in a supporting role. So I decided to do the non-gender specific because I believe that we shouldn't assign genders, especially when it comes to certain vibes and energies, and when it comes to awarding this prize to a deck. To me, the important thing was about what the award stands for, not that it's you know, male leading or supporting actor or a female leading or supporting actor. So best actor in a leading role, the award, the Oscar goes to the Under the Oak Tarot. How much I love this deck. This one is because it's a, so I don't know whether I read the reason for this award. So best actor in a leading role, a deck, but in this case it needs to be a tarot deck that is most prominent in expressing human nature. So if you have never seen me talking or heard me talking about this deck, I love it because it tells the story. It's my storytelling deck. I always say the same thing whenever I introduce this deck. It is my storytelling deck, and the reason why I say that, it is because the protagonist of this deck is called Anima. So anima is a Latin word that means soul. We also use it in Italian. We use a lot of Latin words without even changing them a lot. So anima is lost. And as you can see also from this card and many other cards, whether she's wearing a blindfold or she's keeping her eyes closed or she cannot see. And so what happens is that she goes through a number of problems. She really faces a number of issues, troubles and tribulations in life, and it really tells you something about human nature in this case. So I really think that this is winning the award for most prominent in expressing human nature, because Anima goes through everything. But the reason why I call it my storytelling deck is because Anima cannot see, we are the ones that need to tell her story of her life. And that every time I say that, my heart skips a bit, because it is something that makes me very emotional. Being bonded so much with someone, to be the one telling them what's around them and how to approach someone that is going through a lot of problems and being there for them. There's a number of sports I always give to charity when I can. And one association that I adore is the Paralympics Australia. I'm very proud of them because they are fantastic. And I don't know if you'd ever watched the Paralympics. Please watch them. If you haven't, watch them at least once, because you will see that when it's a marathon, for example, or a run, they always have a person accompanying them, and sometimes they are linked with with a short string attached to their waist. Depend on what the codes and regulations are, I'm not entirely sure, but sometimes they are keeping their hand on the person accompanying them on their shoulder. And this feels like that's what we're doing with Anima. It's almost as if she were leaning on us and putting her hand on our shoulder, and we're guiding her and explaining to her and becoming the storyteller. I love the idea of storytelling. It is something that is very, very evocative for me, and I just really love a deck that lets me do that. So this is definitely my pick for the best actor in non-gender specific in a leading role, so a tarot deck that is most prominent in expressing human nature. And when it comes to the best actor in a non-gender in a supporting role, it is basically the same prompt, or instead of a tarot deck, I wanted to show you an oracle deck that is most prominent in expressing human nature. And the winner is the Daydreams and Moonbeams Oracle. How much I love this deck as well. I know that I keep on saying this, and it's a very common expression. Whenever I say presenting a deck, I absolutely love it. And I think to myself, there's almost like there was a counter in my head going, number 375. I know that I do say that a lot, so I'm sorry about that. It's just that the word love for me expresses a lot. It's not just a word, it means that I actually have feelings for a deck. I do. And so when I say this is absolutely lovely, I mean that it could not be made in any different way for me to love it more. So this is by Tess Whitehurst. The artwork, however, is by Jessica Von Braun. This is a recent Blue Angel release. Recent as in probably from a couple of months ago, but I have seen someone in the US playing with this deck, And so I believe that it has been released in the US as well. Generally speaking, Blue Angel, because it is an Australian company, they actually release decks in Australia first and then worldwide. But you can get it now. I'm pretty sure you can get it from your local metaphysical store, or from Amazon, or your online or not online, your favorite place to shop decks. I love how much I recognize everything that is part of my life in all of these scenes. Yes, also the mermaid's longing, because it's not about the recognizing ourselves with the mermaid. I mean, I don't believe that I'm a mermaid. I wish I were, because they have a pretty good life living in the ocean. But with the longing, I mean, the mermaid is here, and obviously what's the deal with the mermaid? They cannot go on dry land because, well, you guessed it, they don't have legs. So the longing in this case is about looking at land and seeing this that looks like a castle that you can see here, and keeping her hands like this, almost as if she were praying to whomever to make her human, or to give her legs in order for her to be able to go to dry land. So that sense of longing, I don't need to be a mermaid to say that I've felt that many times, and I can resonate with that. And the lucky unicorn as well, because sometimes we feel like we are a unicorn. We don't recognize ourselves as a unicorn in the sense that we don't think that we are that beautiful and magical, but we do feel that we are unique and perhaps we're so different. But once we start understanding that that is okay, is perfectly okay, then it actually is very nice to think of ourselves as lucky unicorn. Caterpillar love. I really love this card. I'm sorry. It's just it is so beautiful. The images are amazing. There is a very recognizable kind of art style with a very pointed chin to the faces of the characters, slightly larger head, and very skinny bodies. This is obviously representative, not of, let's say, of body types, but of archetypes of life. These are situations that we may find ourselves in, a place like home, of course, and attitude of gratitude, compassion, house of sweets, Persephone loves Hades. I mean, look at this card. How amazing is this card? I find that it's very whimsical at the same time, but also kind of sad. The merboy's best friends, the dream seeker, if the glass slipper fits. I mean, seriously, I love the fact that we have this kind of sentences that are not necessarily keywords, and generally speaking, this would be a deal breaker for me. I bet you've seen me talking about rehoming a deck because you only had titles as opposed to keywords, and these are not neither here nor there, because they're not titles, they're not keywords, but they are sentences, but they resonate so much and they speak so loud. So if the glass slipper fits, and it makes you think that am I suited to this life? Is the glass slipper fitting my shoes, my feet actually? So amazing. And then you got You Belong, and then Fall into Wonderland with Alice, and so on and so forth. Absolutely love this deck. It really does resonate a lot, and it makes me feel like it really is telling me something more about the human condition. And so it had to be my pick for the winner of this category. So moving on, we've got the best documentary coming up. So a deck that excels in portraying the everyday life, and I have to go with this one, which is actually, the winner is this one, which is actually a bag, also from the Tarot Bag Ladies. Absolutely love this deck. I still don't have the Desert Illuminations Tarot Mass Market Edition. I do have the Indie Edition, but I will switch the bag as soon as I get the Desert Illuminations Tarot Mass Market Edition. I will switch it. This one, okay, let me just explain. I need to explain about this deck because I don't think that anyone has seen it before. I have a friend who's downloaded from the official from the official Etsy store, which name actually now escapes me, but if I remember I will put it in the on the screen when editing this video. So this is called the Modern Life deck, the Oracle deck. It's an Oracle deck. And so this friend of mine has downloaded the from the official Etsy store the PDF file for printing this deck out, together with another 3 or 4. I believe the Etsy store name is Mighty Bundles, but somehow it doesn't ring a bell. So it could be that one. I believe it's that one. And it is the original one, so it's not a fake deck. It's actually, they own the property rights of these decks and many more. They don't print them, so you cannot buy it printed yourself, and I'm very worried that there might be some printed decks that are not original. But what we've done, she sent everything to make playing cards, and she sent me this one as a present. Because I nagged her so much that at the end she sent it to me, because she had no option, otherwise I would have been texting her. This deck, I have to say, it is mind-blowing. I mean, I just want to find a different way to describe a deck, and mind-blowing is perfectly fitting because it is fantastic. This one is, it must be the winner for the best documentary, because it does excel in portraying the everyday life. I mean, retail therapy guru, really, seriously, come on. The plant parent, the tech wizard, the foodie photographer, come on. The chronic multitasker. How much do you love this card? I do. I really do. The human GPS, the influencer wannabe, the yoga pretzel. This card gave me goosebumps. Why? Because, I mean, look at it. I do yoga. I do yoga. But I have never felt so emotional by looking at a card that was portraying someone in a yoga pose, honestly. It's really tightly wounded. It speaks so loudly. The mansplainer extraordinaire, the DIY disaster, the awkward dancer, the snooze button samurai, that is my husband. Yeah, I'm not. When the alarm goes off, I jump out of the bed. I am fully awake. I could take a math test in French. I kid you not. My husband, on the other hand, he is the snoozer samurai. FOMO sufferer. I love this card. Look at all those screens. Emoji overuser. Yeah, I have a friend like that. I mean, seriously, I don't even understand half of the emojis that she sends me. That's fine. I love her. Delivery app devotee. Yeah, I used to be like that. Now I cook every day. I'm on a diet, by the way. How's it going? I know that when I first mentioned that I was on a diet, I had a lot of people say, me too. How is it going? You're still on a diet? How is it going? I'm not losing much weight. I'm deflating, like I am deflating, but I'm not losing much weight. It's also because I'm exercising a lot, so maybe I'm hoping that I'm replacing the fat with the muscle. Conspiracy theorist, professional binge watcher, yeah, that's also me. Passive aggressive notes taker. I'm not going to show you all of the cards, but you get the gist. Autocorrect victim. Oh my god, raise your hand if that never happened to you, because I don't think it's possible. I got fobbed off by autocorrect so many times that I'm like, you know what? Whatever. People know this about me. Whenever I'm messaging someone, they know to expect that there'll be something really odd. Laundry mountain climber. Yes, by the way, it is laundry day today. Yeah. Parallel Parker Pro. Used to be able to do that. Used to. Meme lord, trend chaser. I have to say, you know, when there's a couple of cards in a deck that really make you want the deck, even though you don't even know whether you like the other cards or not. This was one of the 3 or 4 cards that I saw out of this deck that really convinced me to get the deck. The Trend Chaser. It's just so freaking cool. I love this. And the Roommate Diplomat, and well, the toilet paper hoarder I could have done without this card because it does remind me of the pandemic. I don't know if it happened in your country as well, but in Australia we had a shortage of toilet paper because everyone thought that you know, I don't know. What's the thought about hoarding toilet paper when there's a pandemic? Do people really think that we're going to run out of toilet paper? That is an actual question. Could you please let me know in the comments below? Did that happen in your country? Did you run out of toilet paper because people were buying like 50 packages of toilet paper? Not actual rolls, 50 packages of 10 rolls each. Because in Australia, in Sydney at least, for at least 6 weeks to 8 weeks, we could not find toilet paper. My husband and I didn't do that. We didn't hoard anything. We just bought them whenever we needed them. And once I remember receiving a text message from a friend of mine. She's from South Korea, and so she was perusing all of the Korean grocery stores, and they still had them. And so we just beelined in order to go to that store and buy, toilet paper. But yeah, please let me know in the comments below if you do think that you understand the behavior behind hoarding toilet paper, because honestly, this would not be one of the industries that stop working. It is considered essential. So I really don't understand why people would think other things. Yes, of course, we run out of a lot of things that we used to import, but we produce it in Australia. Anyway, let me know. Deadline Surfer, loving this, and Hungry Beast, cute. Okay, so this is, and I love the backs as well. So this is, I believe it's called the Modern Life Oracle, and it is to be found. You cannot buy it printed out. If you do see it printed out, please double check that it's original. But you can buy the PDF from the Mighty Bundle Etsy store. So putting these ones away and moving on to the next one. So the next one is, the next 3 categories are the most interesting one, because we're gonna look first at the best director, then at the best movie in a foreign language, and then the best movie in English language. The best director, so a creator that has shown outstanding results in the coordination of the entire production from cardstock to art style to guidebook, and the winner is ta-da! Lisa Papez with the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. This deck has been illustrated by Francesca Baiocchi, which obviously, I'm kind of biased because Francesca is Italian like me, but I love this deck so much. And it's not, let's say that I say that about a lot of decks. I mean, let's be honest, I do say that a lot. However, when it comes to the Best Director Award, I believe that we need to take so many things into consideration that we cannot just give out awards like that. To me, it needs to be a deck that has the perfect cardstock, the perfect box, the perfect guidebook, the perfect alignment between images and the cards and the meaning and everything. But also, there's something else. Because when it's an indie deck that you buy out of the website is one thing, but when it's a Kickstarter campaign, I become super duper picky. I am very finicky when it comes to Kickstarter campaign. I have backed a lot of Kickstarter campaigns during the years, not just, let's say, Tarot and Oracle decks related, but together with my husband, for example, he needed for work to back a lot of machinery, and so we used to have a joint account for Kickstarter, and then I was like, it's best to just split it. It's also because the recommendation were extremely odd. You would have a new lawnmower machine next to the new tarot deck, and I was like, huh? So now that we have a split account, I believe that, but only last year, I think I backed something like 25 decks last year alone, 2024 alone. This year I find that we don't have so many excellent decks. I did back a few, That's because it's the beginning of the year. I believe that towards March or April, we may expect something interesting to come out. But let me just tell you, so I was talking about everything that needs to excel for me to consider the DAC to be winning the award of a best director. And not the DAC, it's Lisa herself. She's the director, she's the curator, she's the one that put everything together to produce this DAC. And she's done a fantastic job. I mean, when it comes to the Kickstarter campaign, that was probably the smoothest Kickstarter campaign I've ever seen and backed in my entire life. I'm not exaggerating. She was posting very helpful and full of information updates whenever we needed them. She was answering all of the questions and all of the messages, and even if someone was saying, oh, great DAC, she was just answering as well, because I believe that she, by having backed so many DACs herself, she knows what backers are looking for or looking out for in a DAC. And then everything else that is related to the production of the DAC, from the cardstock, which is a fantastic, really soft linen, really luxurious feel to it. And also you see this really gorgeous mauve color edging of the cards and the guidebook, and obviously the illustration, the coordination. Obviously she wasn't the illustrator, but she did have to coordinate the images with Francesca. The way in which can we just spend 10 seconds talking about the shipping of some Kickstarter awards? Not her campaign, but at the same time I backed another campaign, and the creator gave out some indication of the costs, and when it came to the charges, to actually charging someone for the shipping, was 3 times as much. I don't like that. I mean, I know that there's always reasons. I'm not saying that these creators are just pocketing the money. Absolutely not. Please understand. And it's all for a good laugh. Come on. But at the same time, it does hurt my pocket if originally I'm supposed to spend $45 for shipping, and I end up paying $135. And I didn't even put any ads on. So that was not related to something that I backed. It was related to admittedly very generous gift of the creator, that she put something larger inside every box, but that made the box so much bigger. And as a consequence of that, you don't just pay more because of the weight, you also pay more, especially from overseas into Australia, because of the size of the box. So that was Lisa was fantastic. She was amazing. She actually, because I reached out to her saying, please don't do this to us, because Australians would just, at the end of the day, we stopped backing some DACs because we just pay too much for shipping. And so she worked it out. She was amazing. She worked it out. She worked out whether we would have the tracking or not, whether it was insured or not, a number of things. She made it so smooth. She deserves this award, so best director. And moving on to the next 2 categories. So these are the most exciting categories. Obviously we're talking about best movie, but being Italian myself, and ESL. So if you're not familiar with this term, ESL means English as a second language. So English is not my native language, Italian is. I was born in Italy from Italian parents. I moved overseas when I was 21. I actually moved to London. So that's why my accent is very weird because sometimes I will have a little bit of a British accent, and sometimes, bastardize into an Australian accent. And sometimes I will say things in an American way, I guess, but it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you understand me. If you understand me, that's fine. If you don't understand me, please put on the subtitles. Most of the subtitles are correct, the auto-generated ones, so that will help you out. So we're looking into the 2 best movies categories. The first one is best movie in a foreign language, a DAC that excels in all the categories presented and is awarded for lifetime achievement. And the winner is The Exile Tarot, the Awaken edition is specific. This is a Chinese production. You can find it in websites such as Tevada, I think. Yes, it should be Tevada. You should be able to find it on Tevada. However, if you just Google Exile Tarot Awaken, you will find where you can find it. You will find the website where they sell it. This is an amazing deck. I love this kind of art style. It is by the same creators as the Monsoon Tarot, which I used to have, but I had to rehome it because of two main reasons. One was because the characters did not have a face. And when it comes to the Exile Tarot, there's two versions. The Awakened edition has faces, the Silent edition does not. So if you have the same, let's say, cognitive problem or issue that I have with not seeing faces, you may want the Awakened edition. If you're happy with not seeing faces, then the Silent edition is the one you want. It is spectacular. It is based on, oh sorry, I was saying that I rehomed the Monsoon Tarot because it didn't have faces, but also because it didn't specifically explain what was going on in the cards. Having said that, that should not have been a deal breaker. It was ultimately a deal breaker mostly because of the faces. But when I look at this one, because it is called the Awakened Tarot, the Awakened edition of the Exile Tarot, you do see faces and you see the expressions, and it really helps you bond with the deck. It's got some amazing, very unique color palette, which I really love, which has a lot of mauve, blue, like blurple and blue-gray kind of colors, which I really like. Sometimes it's got teal colors and green colors mixed with pale yellows. So this is literally almost as if it were all of the colors that are my favorite in a card. And I also really love the way in which they have depicted the cards. The art style is very much similar to, let's say, I would say if a manga and let's say one of those comic books from the 90s had a baby. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. It's not entirely manga. The faces are not manga-like. They're similar, but it's not entirely like that. But it does look like one of those comic books from the 90s. So if that doesn't resonate with you, think about all of those books about fairy tales like the Brother Grimm's or Hans Christian Andersen, and when they were illustrated you would have seen this type of art style on the image, on the fairy tale. So it is pretty much recognizable like that, and it resonates so much. And it's just really seriously, when I think about a best deck in a foreign language, of course I have a lot of decks in Italian, I have a lot of French decks, I have a few German decks, I have a couple of I don't know whether they're Ukrainian or Russian decks. So I do have others, but I had no doubt in choosing this one because it is absolutely a joy to have, and also really beautiful, as you can see here, holographic edging to the cards, which is something that I actually appreciate. You know, it's one of those things that it might not mean a huge thing, but it is important to me. And now it is the moment that everyone expected, was waiting for, and it's referred to the category the best movie in English language. And the winner of the prize of the Oscar for the best movie in English language is the Unveiled Tarot. Guys, this deck, I don't know how to express the amount of admiration that I have for the creator Jesse Lonergan. This has been released by Liminal 11 / Sterling Ethos. It is a deck that I would say it's very easy to find on your Amazon or your local metaphysical store. You can easily order it. I hope that you can easily order it at least, because this is a deck that is very affordable. It is priced as a mass market deck, and it is a mass market deck when you look at the publishers. It is such an amazing and shockingly modern, but at the same time, very deep kind of deck. I love everything about it. I remember I was filming the unboxing of this deck, and when I was filming the unboxing, the only thing I knew was out of the couple of example of cards that we can see on Amazon, and I saw a couple of cards, and I thought, oh, this could be interesting. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. I mean, hello. This is, I mean, look at the Four of Cups. This card gives me goosebumps every time. So this is basically the way in which the card is set up is this. You have a image, you have two images. One is inside a frame. This is the easiest way to explain it. So you have this person that is at the airport. We understand that it's the airport because we see the symbol here of the plane. And also because we see people with trolleys or people queuing up here. You know, everyone is happy because they're leaving and they're going somewhere. But this person is looking up, and in the inside of the frame, what you can see here is that she's almost drowning. And it's about the Four of Cups. And so it does refer to the element of water, but it also refers to the moment in your life in which you probably don't even know where you're going. And you need to take a decision, and everything is that which is on offer for you doesn't resonate, and you cannot decide. And yet at the same time you do still exist in a society, in a moment in time which is very much present, and you need to respond to stimuli coming from everywhere, but at the same time you're dying inside a little bit because you still don't know who you are. You don't know what you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to live, etc. So this deck, this card really shocked me. But I could say the same for 99% of these cards. The Queen of Swords, which is ironically in any other deck, she will be the one person that does not have a veil because she can see through all of the BS of life. But she can also tell right from wrong, and yet, because she is still very compassionate, because let's not forget that all of the queens are always, no matter what their suit are, they're always related to water as well as their suit. So the Queen of Swords is obviously an air card, but it's also related to water because she's a queen. She has that kind of compassion, and that kind of compassion is making her understand that she can choose whether she wants to see beyond the veil or not. And I just love, this is my interpretation, of course, and many of these things you will find in the guidebook, but not all of them. And so it is incredibly engaging. It is an incredibly engaging deck. And every time I show this card, and every time I think like, how cool is that? This is a movie set. See here? This is a person outside on the movie set, and this T here that you can see, it's a T. It's a tape shaped like a T because that shows where the person that is currently on camera needs to stand on. I mean, hello, the magician. And if you read in the guidebook, it explains that you have all of the resources, but sometimes you have to gamble. Sometimes you have to pretend that you have them when you don't, or sometimes you have to change your personality in order to try and find the one that actually fits with what you have. Amazing. I just, it was one of the decks that mostly shocked me, you know, in the last, I don't know, probably 15 years. I know that it's very underrated because people don't necessarily pay attention to the card, and maybe they don't look twice, and the very first impression could be, oh, it's okay, it's a modern take on the RWS, it's fine, it's got a modern kind of art style. Please look twice because you will not regret it, you will thank me later. Look at the Six of Cups, in which this person is an adult, but inside the frame it's the same person with the face of a child, because we are still children at heart. And you know, the Four of Swords or the Mob, there's a couple of additional cards which are very interesting. The Mob especially tells you that you may have joined the mob at the beginning because it felt like you wanted to talk about the same thing, and it unites everyone and brings everyone together, but at the same time you need to always be present to yourself and not let yourself be swept by what the mob has lately become, which in some cases is something that has lost all meaning. So Interesting, it's fascinating, it's intriguing, it is challenging, it is mind-bending. You really have to understand this deck. You really have to understand how you personally relate to these cards in order to use it. And it reads like a charm, I can assure you. I have been working with this deck. It is a shocking deck. It reads really, really well, and I had absolutely no doubts in awarding this deck with the best deck in English language category, because this is really worthy of that. It is an amazing deck. So we've done everything, we've seen everything, we've awarded all the decks. It's been fun. I really hope that you enjoyed it as well. I love this double camera setup, and I've heard from many of you that you really like it. I cannot promise that it will always be like that, because I have to dress nicely, I have to put on makeup, I have to put on a nice shirt, and so on and so forth, which, let's face it, I don't do every day. But at the same time, it is lots and lots of fun, and I look forward to see other tarot tuber picking this up and showing me your choices. And that's it for today. I'm actually a bit tired, so I'm gonna say goodbye now. Have a great day. Bye.